Let me tell you something you might not want to hear. Modern men are weaker than ever. And no, I'm not just talking about physical strength. I'm talking about weakness in the mind, in the spirit, in the soul. Men today break at the first sign of rejection. They fold when challenged. They abandon discipline for comfort and purpose for pleasure. And do you know what's terrifying? Niccolo Machiavelli, writing over 500 years ago, warned us this would happen. He wrote that men who grow soft, men who surrender discipline, men who trade honor for comfort, become easy to control, easy to forget, and easy to destroy. And I see that everywhere around me today. But I'll tell you a story, my story. Because like many men, I wasn't always strong. I learned the hard way that weakness is punished. And I want to show you what Machiavelli can teach us about rising from weakness to strength. I used to be weak. I don't mean I couldn't lift weights. I mean I lacked direction. I lived for validation. I wanted people to like me, women to notice me, friends to respect me. And the more I wanted it, the more I gave away my power. There was a girl once. I thought she was everything. I chased her, bent over backwards, did everything to impress her. You know what happened? She ignored me. And instead of walking away, I begged harder. I became desperate. And when she finally rejected me, it broke me. But here's what I realized years later. It wasn't her rejection that hurt me. It was the mirror she held up. She revealed the truth. I was weak. I had no mission, no discipline, no backbone. Machiavelli once said, "Men should either be treated generously or destroyed because they take revenge for slight injuries. For heavy ones they cannot." That hit me. I had been destroyed by something as small as rejection. That wasn't her fault. It was mine. That was the day I swore I would never be weak again. Look around today. We live in an age of comfort. Food at our fingertips, entertainment in our pockets, distractions everywhere. And what does it do? It makes men lazy, distracted, soft. Machiavelli warned that prosperity breeds weakness. Hard times create strong men. But when times are easy, when comfort is endless, strong men disappear, and weak men take their place. That's why we see fatherless homes, broken families, leaders with no backbone, and men who can't take rejection without falling apart. Men who live for likes on Instagram, who drown in pornography, who waste hours escaping into fantasy worlds instead of building real ones. Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." But today's man doesn't want to be feared or respected. He just wants to be liked. And in the pursuit of approval, he sacrifices his masculine power. This is why modern men are weaker than ever. Not because the world is harder, but because it is too easy, and weakness thrives in comfort. Now let me be brutally honest with you. Weakness has a cost. It destroys you. Weak men lose women's respect. They lose opportunities. They lose the ability to lead. And eventually, they lose themselves. You see it in relationships. Women don't leave men because they're too masculine. They leave because they're too weak. You see it in society, leaders who can't take criticism, who make decisions out of fear instead of strength. And you see it in everyday men who gave up their dreams because they couldn't handle failure. Machiavelli said, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him." Look around modern men. They surround themselves with distractions, addictions, and weak influences. No wonder they fail. Weakness doesn't just hurt you, it destroys society. And history proves it. Rome fell when Roman men grew soft. Great empires collapse not when enemies attack, but when men within stop being men. That's the cost of weakness. It's not just your life, it's your legacy. So the question is, how do we fix this? How do we become strong again? Machiavelli may have lived 500 years ago, but his lessons are timeless. And here are the 5 pillars of masculine strength we must reclaim. Discipline. A man without discipline is a slave to his impulses. Machiavelli said rulers must be feared not for cruelty, but for consistency. Discipline is the root of all strength. 2. Courage, not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. Modern men avoid risk. Strong men embrace it. 3. Self-reliance. Machiavelli believed fortune favors those who seize it. Stop waiting for permission. Stop relying on validation. Build your own power. 4. Purpose. Without purpose, a man drifts into weakness. With purpose, he becomes unstoppable. You must find a mission bigger than women, bigger than pleasure, bigger than approval. Power of perception. Machiavelli said appearances matter more than reality. A strong man commands respect not only by what he does, but how he carries himself. Your presence should speak before you say a word. Master these and you'll no longer be one of the weak men this age is creating. You'll be the exception. You'll be the kind of man history remembers. I'll leave you with this. Machiavelli warned that weak men are always conquered, if not by others, then by themselves. And today, weakness is everywhere, disguised as comfort, pleasure, and approval, but you don't have to be part of it. You can rise. You can choose discipline over distraction, purpose over pleasure, strength over weakness. I know what it feels like to be weak, to be rejected, to be forgotten. But I also know what it feels like to rebuild, to rise, to transform. And if I can do it, so can you. Modern men are weaker than ever. But maybe, just maybe, you can be the man who proves the exception. The man who reclaims power. The man Machiavelli would have respected, because in the end, history only remembers the strong. Which will you be? Forgotten or feared?